Hi everyone, welcome to the podcast. Firstly, it does seem a bit mad to say that, but yeah, this is my new podcast. My name's Adam Newton. So I'm 34 years old, from Liverpool. I've got a wife, 3 kids, 3 little girls, and I'm a PT. I'm a PT for Ultimate Performance up in Cheshire. Absolutely love what I do. Obviously love my family, love everything about what's been happening over the last couple of years for me. But kind of when I was 31, I was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis and something called ankylosing spondylitis, which is like a kind of extension of that, but it's an autoimmune disease, which basically is very similar to rheumatoid arthritis. And I wanted to share a little bit about that story. I've been thinking about doing this for a while, but I'm not going to kind of sit here and say I'm completely over everything, because I'm still actually in the middle of dealing with it all. But I thought, just got that kind of urge to share a little bit, and I know that there's people out there that are in a similar boat to me. So I really wanted to share a little bit about what I've been through and some things that are helping me, and actually give a little bit of an idea of why I'm doing this podcast, because it's going to be more than just about arthritis. I'm going to be sitting down with guests and sharing loads of different stories, which I think is going to be impactful for a lot of people, to be honest. So the podcast itself is called Through the Eyes of Adversity. And the reason for that is because I think everyone's different when it comes to adversity, and there's so many different ways that adversity can come for different people, whether that be physical, mental, can come from trauma. But the reason for this podcast really is to get people on and understand those stories and understand a whole different variation of stories of adversity from people. But the common factor and the common theme is that sport and exercise and any physical activity really is the thing that people go to, and I think that there's a really big correlation between the two. And it's what I use to help me, and I know it's what a lot of people use. And a lot of the podcasts that I'm going to be recording, there's going to be loads of different stories of that, from people that is just, they've actually gone into sports and done really well and got to kind of world championship level. And I know that's going to be inspiring to a lot of people, but it's also like the everyday people where, you know, it's just about getting out and walking. And I know for some people that do have certain conditions, just actually getting out the house is enough of a challenge. So I want to create a space and a place in this podcast that people can come on and share all different levels of stories, and it's going to hit with hopefully many different people. But yeah, that's the goal for me. And I think in terms of my journey, although I'm in a good place at the moment, I think it's important that I kind of go back to the beginning for me slightly and talk about that and explain that journey for someone that's actually got psoriatic arthritis or any form of arthritis. It's an invisible disease, really. Obviously, things do change in terms of structure. But for someone like me at 34 years old, like, I'm quite young to have it. I know there's other people out there that have got it at that age, and most of the time it's invisible and you wouldn't know. Like, I'm a PT, like I say, and most people will probably look at me and kind of not see any pain, but don't really know what goes on in the background. So I was actually diagnosed, I say, when I was 31. At the time, my second child, she got hand, foot and mouth, and blistered all up on her hands and her feet. I got it, my wife got it, and the other baby got it. So they ended up in hospital, one of the kids, and she recovered quite quickly. My wife recovered quite quickly, and the other child recovered quite quickly. I was still hanging on to all the blisters on my hands and my feet. I just could not shift it, and I couldn't figure out why. So I was like 2 weeks in, and I still could not get rid of these blisters. My symptoms though were when I was getting out of bed in the morning, I was standing up, and it felt like I was actually standing on glass, but it didn't feel like the blisters. It felt like something internal, which I've never felt, and I couldn't really explain. And then all of a sudden I try and walk down the stairs, and I was struggling to walk down the stairs. I put my hands on the banisters, and all of a sudden my wrists felt like, you know, there was sharp pains in my wrists. And then it kind of evolved on, and when I wake up in the morning, I couldn't really open up my back. So I was kind of hunched over. So all of a sudden, over the space of a couple of days, I was actually just like shuffling to the stairs, crawling down the stairs on my bum. And it's a good job I've got wooden flooring, because then I was crawling basically over to the bathroom and shuffling into the kitchen. So it was just a really weird moment. And thankfully my clients and UP just in general, and my management just understood. And I just kind of explained to them, well, I don't really understand what's going on myself. I'm going to the doctors, I'm getting some tests, and I was wearing some wrist straps and everything like that at the time. And it's a good job my clients like me, because I could just about pick up like a 4 kilo dumbbell. Bear in mind, probably, a couple of weeks before that, I was doing whatever I wanted, training how I wanted. I couldn't train at that point because I couldn't physically get down onto a bench to press. I'd just literally aged like 50 years, it felt like, in the space of 2 weeks. So I did that, went through all that stuff, and my clients, thankfully, are really nice and they understood. So I got, work-wise, I could manage. I went to the doctors, got some tests. They sent me into the hospital, done scans everywhere, and done some blood tests, and then they invited me into the hospital in Broad Green in Liverpool, and they basically sat me down and said, right, you've got psoriatic arthritis and ankylosing spondylitis in your spine, which is like fusing your spine together. But that was why basically I couldn't open me back up. So they explained that I've got that. And they gave me some leaflets and stuff with like counselling things and therapists and all different stuff that I could do. But being in like the frame of mind that I'm at, that I was at then, it was like, I can train anything off. Like I'll train that off. That's nothing to me. Like, yeah, I'm in pain, but I've never had anything that's got like, if you have a cold or a flu, like there's an expiry date to that. So if you get ill, you know that that's coming to an end. I never had anything before that. It's a possible life condition. So I don't think my brain, like at that moment in time, really took that in. So yeah, I just kind of said, yeah, no worries, that's fine. They gave me some like medication and stuff. And I was like, okay, at least I know what it is. Arthritis, no issue for me. Like I'll carry on doing what I do. So I used to train a lot. Everyone that knows me knows that I do kind of crazy endurance stuff. I'll run anywhere, I'll cycle anywhere, I'll do anything into my sports massively. So any sport I'll play. So I was like, that's fine, give me 2 weeks, I'll be back to normal. Anyway, it didn't materialise like that. So it just kept getting worse and worse. So I took the drugs, all the stuff that they gave me, and all of a sudden it just kind of went. And I could actually wake up in the morning, I could do stuff, and I was like, oh, this medication's unbelievable. I'm just going to keep taking this, and that's my life sorted. I'm back to normal. Obviously, medication, though, doesn't really work like that sometimes, and I very soon got back into the pain cycle where my body had adapted to that quite quickly. And the only real answers that I could get at the time was just to take more, which I really didn't want to do. So at that stage, I think it transferred over to not just the physical kind of impacts for me. It was really more the mental side of things, and the mental health issues kind of kicked in. And that's when it was a bit of a spiral then, to be honest, in terms of mental health. I think on the face of things, I'm busy. I've got these 3 girls, 2 at the time, but I'm busy. I'm busy in work. I'm always on the go. I was medicationed up, and on the face of it, I'd turn up to work, first thing in the morning, 6 a.m, like nothing was wrong, just cracking on, doing my thing, just hiding it basically. And the only person that really probably got it, which I'm thankful for, was my wife. Like, she just listened to everything, and she still does to today. But yeah, she was the only real person that could see it, because I wouldn't show it anywhere else. Like in work, I wouldn't exactly crawl along the floor as a PT. I have to look the part as well, so I'm forcing myself to train at this stage. I'm finding ways and trying to use different things than dumbbells to train. I'm literally doing everything I can at this stage to try and show face, and show that I am actually strong. And it sounds really mad. Within work, we have a thing which is like a kind of the hardest trainer, and for like 2 years I'm winning that stuff, and I'm always there. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm the hardest. I train the hardest. Like, I train the hardest in this gym. There's no way I'm giving that title up because of this. So I'm doing stupid stuff at the time to just try and get by and show face really, and show that I've not changed. So the mental health impact of that was massive for me. And it's like feeling like when you've got a baby crying in the middle of the night and, you know, you're getting up and you got to pick the baby up, and it's the stuff that people don't see, you know, with this kind of condition. It's picking the baby up that weighs, you know, nothing, but feels like a ton because it's on broken wrist almost. That's the kind of stuff that really, really kind of impacts you as like a dad, you know. And if there's other people out there that've got this that are dads, it's like, you know, you want to be able to pick your kids up and that, and you want to be able to do things with them, and just not even big things, it's just the basic stuff without feeling pain. So even with the kids, it's like you're still trying to show face, so you're always doing that. So the mental health impact of that is big. It really does get you down. It really, really does. And I feel for anyone that has to go through that stuff. And I'm fortunate enough that I've gone through a bit of a journey and process with this, that I've pushed myself to a point where I've tried to figure things out, and thankfully I've come out like the other side. And I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, like, oh, I'm perfect now, because I'm absolutely not. I'm still going through it. But I'm in a much better place, and I feel like this now is a platform for me to share this stuff. And there's loads of stuff that I can actually go through on this, whether it be the training, the nutrition, the mindset, how do you deal with the simple things that people don't think about. Yeah, there's so much stuff that I actually want to share. It's like I've been thinking about this, and there's a list of at least 50 topics that I think that people that have got this condition will appreciate understanding a little bit about. So for me with this podcast, I want to be able to share that stuff about myself and hopefully help other people with that. But besides from that, the mission of the podcast really is to inspire people. And I've got plenty of guests that are coming from all different walks of life that have gone through so many different things, like just unbelievable stuff. People that are coming on here that suffer from ADHD really bad. I've got people that have survived cancer. People that have survived all kinds of situations. And the common theme to all these people that are coming onto this podcast, and hopefully will come on this podcast in the future, is that the sport, the exercise, the physical activity, whether it be small or big, whether it just be getting out for a walk, whether it be doing some yoga in the garden, whatever it is, like that has been the common theme that they've used. And for me, I think that's massive. I think that there's a theme there, there's something there. And I just want to provide with this podcast a platform. I just want to provide a place. I don't even want to talk that much on it. I just want to sit and listen, really. And just kind of direct the conversation with people and just let it go where it goes. It's not scripted. I'm a terrible person at being scripted, so this podcast is not scripted whatsoever. It's just a place that people can come and sit, talk about what their background was, go to probably the darker places of their experiences, but then also bring it to the light of, actually, this is what I've done to be able to overcome that. Whether it be they've overcome it and they're actually in remission and clear of whatever it might be, or whether they're still in that battle and it's just a fact of we're just hashing it out here in front of everyone to see. And I just want to be real like that. I want a real experience, and I want to put as much out there as I can. So yeah, that's it really to this podcast. I just want it to be that place. So if you've got to this far in the podcast, of this speech, basically, thank you so much for listening to it. I really appreciate it. And I hope I've built some interest there, and I hope it does sound like something that people are interested in. I think it will be. And I'm ready to just give it me all. This is completely out of my comfort zone. I'm not a podcaster until today. So I'm just going to put myself out there with this, and I'm going all in to get as many different people on here as I can. So yeah, like I say, thank you so much for the time listening. And I'm going to be putting on things like on my Instagram and everything. So I'm going to be sharing when the next episodes are coming up. We're going to be putting out weekly, and I'll be giving people a bit of an insight to the guests that are coming on. And yeah, thank you again. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the first guest episode. Thank you.